Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. Apologies for being a minute or two late. Josh's dongle didn't...
Please don't talk about my dongle.
It wasn't powering
on the air.
Okay. Hi.
Kill.
I tried to keep a straight face, but I couldn't. But a big hello to everyone joining us live on air here on Behance. If you are tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. We've got Lana and Cars and Raphael, Kevin, Sarah, your sister's in the chat.
Super Mayo.
Nice. Super Mayo.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Oh, Super Mayo. Oh,
not my sister.
I thought that was her nickname.
That's not her nickname.
Deborah and everyone else joining, welcome. So we're just gonna dive into things, and we're gonna talk about what you were doing yesterday, what you're doing today, and we also have Chat and Win coming up in about half an hour. One of you will win 100 stickers from Sticker Mule, and then about half an hour before the show ends, we're gonna take a look at some of your daily creative challenge entries. So if you go to behance.net/challenge/XD, we've got this landing page. Peter Del Tondo is running the Daily Creative Challenge this week, and today your challenge is to design the more info experience for a podcast app using Auto Animate. So that should be really cool. Hop into Discord, post your stuff there, and we'll take a look at it in about an hour and a half. So I'm gonna hand it over to Josh to talk a little bit about what he did yesterday, what he's doing today. Who knows, what else?
Hopefully,
no dongle talk.
We don't talk about dongles anymore. All right. Hi. I see Jake, my cousin Jacob on there too. It's nice. A family event, family affair. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna go over quickly what I did yesterday, and I'll do this quick little slide. I'm not gonna go through all of this, but my name's Josh Iwata. If you didn't tune in yesterday, my kind of career path: illustrator, web designer, UI UX designer. That was kind of the sequence of events. And then was previously at a company I helped found called Setmore. It's still one of the kind of leading freemium appointment setting apps out there. And now I'm COO of ClassHero and also doing product design. And actually I think the first stream I did was all about the ClassHero Kids app, the math app.
Remind people and myself, because I don't remember. What is ClassHero and what does it do?
Oh, ClassHero is an ed tech company, and we do K-8 math software. Okay. So there's software for the kids. There's an app for practicing math, and then there's a teacher dashboard where the teacher can keep that aligned to what she's teaching in class. And then soon we're coming out with some district tools even, where districts can look all the way up from like their whole district all the way down to an individual student and how they're doing with their math progress.
That's really interesting, because I feel like maybe this is probably different now, but when I was growing up in school, technology was really not used very well. And with kids having, pretty much every kid has some sort of a device, whether it's an iPad or an iPhone or a laptop, and a lot of schools these days are giving children these devices. It just makes sense to have something like this.
Well, you're right.
It's natural for them.
And it actually, the problem with EdTech has just been that nothing is tied together with what the teacher's actually doing in her core day-to-day.
Right.
And so that's one of the big things we're trying to bridge the gap of is we have all these assessments kids take, all this data gets generated, reports are made, and then teachers are given like a pile of papers and like, okay, here's all your data, do something with it. And it's really hard. So we automatically pull in the assessment data, and then we implement that directly into the practice the kid's doing and mix that with how they're doing in their practice in order to personalize the lessons that they're assigned.
Nice.
So it's a pretty innovative product, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. And if you want to see me designing the kids app, go back and search the Behance archives.
Yeah, it's there. We're also working on ways of surfacing a lot of that content behind the scenes, so you can very easily digest it at some point in the future. And if anyone has questions for Josh about ClassHero or the case study he's doing today, design, whatever it might be, throw it in the chat, and he will answer all of it.
Well,
except if it's about dongles.
Yeah.
Don't ask that.
Dongles
or pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, let's not talk about pineapple today.
Okay,
so I'm doing a case study, and basically I'm showing how to build a Behance case study.
Nice.
So I came up with these kind of 5 commandments of a good case study. I won't go over all of them. I'll just briefly say. So the first one was use design thinking. The second, tell a story with your case study. The third, show your process. The fourth, use dimension. I guess I could be like quickly clicking through these because they've got little graphics I made. Show dimension, and then the fifth, let it breathe, which...
And we talked a lot about that yesterday, and you kind of started to show that in your mock-ups, is just don't squeeze everything all together. Don't condense it onto a single page. If a client is interested in the work you're doing, especially after seeing the header image, they'll continue scrolling until they get to the end. And on Behance, you know you're at the end when you see the little thumbs up at the bottom. So let things breathe, add some padding, and have some fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, and the company that I'm doing a case study on is an actual client. I just finished work with a company called Berkson Development. You can check them out at berkson.com. They've got, they're a really great development company. I was helping them kind of figure out their brand. Today, I'm gonna be doing design mockups. Yesterday, I did the project overview and page structure. And today, we're gonna be taking those wireframes and all that work that we put in, and we're gonna start applying actual color and design and imagery.
Make it look pretty.
Yeah, make it look pretty, exactly.
Cool.
And these were the different things that I've done for this client. Brand positioning, logo design, mood boards, wireframes, and design mockups. So now that you're all caught up, let's move over to XD. Okay, so this is the wireframe template, and I had said yesterday that I'll make this available for people to download later today, and I will do that. It's not up yet. After the stream, I'll try and get that up. But essentially, it was a way to break down and think about a Behance case study in a little more organized, logical way versus I feel like so many times you can see even sometimes really beautiful work on Behance that really has no structure to it. So you scroll the page and it's just kind of more aesthetic and lots of layers and lots of colors and you know, putting objects on top of things, and you know what I mean.
I do, and I see it way too often. And as you know, putting myself in the shoes of someone who might want to hire a designer, if I'm just scrolling through a Behance project or wherever it might be, and all I see are just pretty images of the final result, I'm most likely going to move on unless it's exactly what I need, which is unlikely. I want to see how they got to that end result. I want to see the sketches. I want to see the logo explorations. I want to see the wireframes. I also want to see what didn't work. Show me your really ugly work, because we're all there. We've all been there. We start off looking really ugly, and then we progress and make something beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that I said this yesterday, that we're kind of a behind the scenes culture now. We love to see the behind the scenes of even mundane industries that, you know, crabbing industry, which no one was interested in before History or Discovery Channel made a show about it. And suddenly it's interesting, and suddenly the crab you eat has more value, you know, because you can think about how exciting it was to watch that be captured. So don't be afraid to show your work, and showing the work and showing the process, even some of the ugly, actually adds value to that end result. Because like you just said, if I'm a client and I'm looking for that work, you know, and unless that is exactly kind of the style and project that I like, I might overlook it and think I need to find something else. But if I can see all the detail and what it was like to work with this designer, for me personally as a creative director and someone who's hired designers, I think it would. That's what I look for, is their thought process.
Yeah, and I found that so many designers, and I've definitely been there, are just afraid of showing the ugly side of design. Because let's face it, it all starts out ugly. But I often watch time lapses or even full streams of people painting and drawing and creating these like amazing artists. When they first start out, it's just like lines, it's sketches, it's ugliness, and then very slowly it starts to build and get to that final result. So don't be afraid to show the ugly side, because it'll definitely benefit you and your work.
Yeah.
So Raphael is asking, question for Josh, would you say every case study should have research?
I'm not sure exactly what that question means, but I would say that you should do some planning for any case study you do, because you put a lot of work into the project that you want to be displaying. So being able to display it in a way that makes sense and that takes someone who views it down kind of a path that you want them to see I think that makes sense, and you should always do that.
I think he could also be asking, within the case study itself, should you always include like the research phase of how you got to the logo or you got to the whatever it might be?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of up to you, and when you put the case study together, if you think it makes sense to do that. For this particular one, doing the brand positioning was kind of you could say that was a research phase, but there were some visuals that went along with it, and it seemed important to me to show that because it wasn't just creating a logo from scratch, it was helping them define where they were. And for me, that's part of my background, is helping with brand positioning because I've helped start and run companies. So I wanted to show that piece of work in my portfolio. So it depends on what kind of where your strengths are and what you want to show for that particular piece and showcase, I think.
Yeah. Marley possibly is asking about the templates. So Josh will be posting a lot of that stuff after the stream. Will you also be including the contract, or you mentioned something about the proposal, right? Are you going to include that as well?
Well, also what I showed yesterday was a proposal, and I'll include that. I won't include a contract because there's a lot of kind of legalese and things like that. But there's lots of independent contractor contracts out there that you can use as kind of a baseline. And that's what I would search for, is freelancer contract or independent contractor agreement. And that's really the one that I use, is basically one that I downloaded and was able to use for free. I think it may have been from LegalZoom or one of these companies that gives out these kind of like baseline contracts, right?
Yeah. Where are you going to be posting this?
I'll post it on my website, iwata.io/resources.
Perfect.
And I think you put a link to that yesterday.
Yeah, I put a link in chat. I'll also be tweeting it later if you want to follow me at Pinsky. Shameless self-promotion. But yeah, it'll also be put in chat as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, follow Howard if you want the link to my website.
Well, you're not on Twitter, are you?
No, I should, before someone calls me out on it, I don't, if you go to my Behance profile, it's blank.
Oh, well, it won't be after today.
Exactly. So I thought I'm going to kill two birds with one stone, and I'm going to like do some projects live on the air. I like to double dip however I can with Adobe Live. You know, use a real client. I start building out my Behance portfolio.
Might as well.
So I'll put this up as my first Behance, project, case study, and you know. So you could, so feel free to follow me, but you know, don't be disappointed if I don't post very often, because I don't do what I say, not what I do. That's the lesson here. Okay. So we started with brand positioning, and then we went on to show some of the branding work. And you can see there's these kind of layers. There's this background layer, and then there's a kind of a sub-background layer, and then there's the screenshot itself. And then many times people put even a fourth layer on top of things. I'm not gonna do that, but you can do that as long as you don't go too crazy with it, right? Then we have our wireframe section, where we tried to break repeat grid function. This is all with repeat grid. We just made a square, and then we just repeated it a million times and changed the margins to -1, and you can make a grid. So it's a nice little hack. Fancy. And then our design mockups moved beyond this. Oh, I should turn my layout on. They moved beyond the grid here, the layout grid, all the way to these margins that I'd set up, or these guides rather. And so they get a little bit bigger and bolder when you get to this section. I wanted to have bigger mockups to make it a little more dramatic, and then we'll have kind of these, you know, zoomed out long side-by-side mockups. Portions of the page that I like, so design elements are going to be showcased here. And then we'll finish it off with a glossy device mockup, since that, you know, you have to have a device mockup.
Yeah. And where do you typically get your glossy, fancy pants design mockups?
I rent a studio and I photograph Apple devices just to get the perfect shot.
Do you actually?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, there's so many now online. If you just search for device mockups, you can find a free one that's free to use. I make sure that it is free to use, and you don't need to credit anyone. But there's so many now. And if you like the look of like a matte, like kind of clay looking, which you see that's really popular right now, you can search for clay mockups, and that's
those
kind
are
of
fun.
Those are the ones that have no shine in there.
I went through that phase at some point. Now it's just like super
clay
flat.
phase. Yeah. Now it's like very flat, and and in a lot of cases, no device at all, right?
That's
or
true,
just
yeah.
the outline of a device.
Yeah.
So it's like you're moving through the different phases of
I know, it's
art,
weird.
You know, it's like realism, impressionistic.
Yeah, it went from the skeuomorphism all the way down to like flat.
Yeah, exactly. Totally minimalistic. Okay, so today we're going to start applying color and things to here. So to prep for that, I'm going to work off of this wireframe. I'm going to duplicate the entire artboard, and if you click on the artboard and you hold down Alt-Option, you can just drag and make a complete duplicate. I'm going to move it over here because I'm going to reuse. I'm going to make space for some elements I want to put here.
You can also Command D, and that'll just like pop it over to the right.
Really? I want to try that. Command D.
Boop. Oh, where did it go?
It went in the middle because I made a space.
Oh, well, fancy.
Interesting. Okay, so I'll change the name of this to Berkson Mockup. And now I need to go get some components for this, right? So I showed a little bit yesterday, but I kind of prepped for this by going into these different different files. So one was all my mockups. Let me make that full screen. I have a design guide that I put together for Berkson. I have the wireframes. Let me get all these open.
So while you're doing that, Munir is asking, is there a specific way to present UX design project on Behance to get more traction by other designers? Since you don't post on Behance.
I'm a bad person to answer that question.
Yeah, you might be a bad person. I don't post on Behance very often either. But I think from what I've heard from the Behance team and many other designers who do post on Behance, long, in-depth projects are always good. The likes and appreciations help a little bit, but really, I think they really, especially if you want to get featured on Behance and get one of those little fancy badges, really going in depth, very similar to what Josh is doing, posting the entire process from start to finish is always good to attract more likes, more eyes, and potentially even get featured.
Yeah, I think you can actually detect kind of the level of depth of the designer's involvement in the project by a really good case study on Behance.
And you might show this later as you're starting to actually build it within Behance, but as Cheryl's pointing out, keywords are probably very important as well. And as you're going through that process, you can not only put in keywords, but you can also let Behance know what application you're using or applications. You can classify it into different categories. So there's a lot of different things that you can add into your project that will probably help it get seen by more people, especially if people are searching through different filters.
Yeah. Cool. That's a good question. But I would also caution you against just designing for other designers.
Right.
Because I think that's a thing too. In any community, you almost lose sight of why you're designing.
Yeah.
And you start posting things just to get clicks from other designers. And ultimately, that's not how I design, and I would encourage you not to get too wrapped up into that too. It's nice to get recognition by your peers, but that's kind of the wrong idea of how to go about doing design.
Unless it's part of your overall marketing plan to start with that,
Sure.
Get as many likes and as many eyes as possible, and then when you're at a nice level where everything you're posting is getting a lot of likes, then you can start posting actual decent client-driven work to try to get work.
Yeah.
Work client. I said words a lot.
Words. Okay, so to prep for this, I had gone in to each of these files and I had exported the artboards. So that means all of my mockups are in their own files now. And what that will allow me to do is drag them into XD and put them right into the place of the rectangles that are currently placeholders. And it'll make it a lot easier during this process now that everything's exported. You can go in and grab, there's quick and dirty tricks too. You can go in here, and I've done this too when I'm putting together a case study or something, and you can grab like a screenshot of something just like that, and then you can paste it in. But there's a really nice function where you can just export all your artboards and turn them into images, and that's probably the easier way to go. So I'm going to go into the design guide. I'm going to pull in all of this, because I'm going to need some of this when I build out this page.
Do you use linked assets at all?
I do not use linked assets.
Could
Is there a good video people I could watch to learn about linked assets?
I might know a place. Go to letsxd.com. You can do that right now. No, don't do that.
Right now.
Yeah, that could be an interesting way to kind of handle a lot of your assets. Because right now what you're doing is you're basically taking the artboards of one document, posting on the other.
Yeah.
So you're really kind of combining most or both of these documents into one, which some people, maybe you prefer that, but a lot of people don't prefer that. They like to keep their design system separate than everything else. And
Right.
linked assets will allow you to keep that separate, but also keep everything linked together. So if you have to update it, you can just do it on one artboard or one document, not the other.
Okay. I'll have to learn the ways. Sometimes I can get lazy about the systems that actually exist.
Yeah.
All right. So I've pulled in my color palette. I don't know why some of this stuff isn't coming over. It's weird.
So Angelique is asking, there are many software you can use to make a showcase for a project. I always use InDesign or Photoshop, but now I see XD as an option. What software do you prefer and why?
I do like to use, for showcasing, is that the question, sorry?
Yeah, to showcase a product.
Yeah, I wouldn't use InDesign unless it was a print document, I suppose, right? InDesign is really for print layout.
It can be, but I've seen a lot of people use it for many different things.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I used to use InDesign a lot, but because it was really set up for print jobs, I typically don't mock things up in that. You can use Photoshop as well, of course. I think XD is really good for it though, because it's so fast and it's so easy to move around the artboard and to have many, many boards all there at once. And so someone has said that XD is awesome for presentations instead of PowerPoint.
Yep.
And I agree. I've done full presentations where I've got 40 slides and I'll do those in XD and present it like that to a client.
Yeah, and what I actually recently gave a talk at Creative Pro Week on using XD for presentations. And what's really cool is now with components, you can essentially have master slides by using master components, which is really cool. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so I would say XD is a great tool for that.
It is a great tool. I would also add to that, use whatever you feel more comfortable with. Like for me, I use XD because I use it every single day. I know it in and out, and it's something that I'm comfortable with. I know a lot of people who do UI and UX work strictly in Photoshop because they've been using it for 15 years and they're comfortable. So whether it's XD, whether it's any other competitors, whatever it is, if you feel comfortable using it, use it. But also, you'll give other products a shot. Like if you're using Sketch, for an example, try out XD. If you're using XD, I might get fired for saying this, but try out Sketch. Try everything out, and I know. But honestly, try everything out, figure out what's more comfortable, and use it. Have fun. Enjoy life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to get fired.
But use XD. Okay. So while Howard was talking, I was highlighting each of the colors in my color palette. And a really great feature about adding these as assets is that you can highlight a bunch of different things and then add them all at once. So if I click on this plus button for the colors,
Bam.
I magically have all my palette here now in my assets, which is really awesome. And I'm going to do the same with the typography. So I'll grab my headline 1, 2, 3, 4, body, and paragraph, and then I'll add that as character styles. And I'll have all those. So I'm going to use the colors and the typography and the graphics from this actual project, and it'll kind of make this case study really be themed to the look and feel of that particular project.
Right. And you typically try to have your case studies look and feel. I would imagine you do. But
yeah. I don't think you have to go as far as using like the same fonts and everything, but it does make it a more kind of immersive experience when you do that, right? All right. So I also have set up, let me go to the mockups, a few assets that I want to use over here. So one of the things is that I'm using this kind of swirled curved bottom. I want to use that in the design itself. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back over to my template. I'm going to replace this current background with that.
Ooh.
I'm going to send it to the back.
That just makes everything look fancier.
Right? It's just all fancy now. I'm gonna grab, so if you double click an image, I'm in an object, obviously you can highlight individual points. I wish if I held down Shift though, it would keep it locked straight down. It doesn't do that. If you could fix that, Howard.
Okay, I'll get on that.
Yeah, get on that, please. Any features that you really want to be in XD, I would just send them all to Howard.
Yeah.
He loves getting those
I will
requests.
personally make all of them.
He'll personally see to it that they all get put in there.
Yeah, and by that I mean I'm gonna go walk over to Talon's desk. I'm gonna tell him he needs to make this feature happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then to add some kind of interest to that background, I think I'm gonna add a photo that fades down into the dark. And I'm gonna do that by pasting this photo here.
So Angelique says, another question, I don't know if it's been told already, but what kind of items should be in a showcase presentation? Because there are so many things to show. So I would say, if you have time, watch yesterday's stream, because Josh definitely kind of discussed a lot of that stuff. Because, you know, in a project like this, what Josh is working on, there are so many different pages that you're designing. And also on those individual pages, there are many repeated elements. So you definitely don't have to put all that stuff on there. Definitely put the most important items on your showcase. Also put research, put logo exploration, a lot of that different stuff, and mix it up a little bit. Also, titles are great, and we talked about that yesterday. So check out yesterday's stream. There's a lot of good information there.
So I'm making a gradient now. I want that photo to fade down. I'm sampling the background color here because I want it to fade to this gray. And you really have to do that on both the top and the bottom of the gradient. And I'm gonna make that top part of the gradient transparent. But if I do it right now when it's still white, it's gonna look funny, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I click on this white part, because I've seen people do this, and I've done this myself on accident. You see how it does fade from nothing to something, but it also is fading from a white nothing to a dark gray, and it makes this kind of milky looking fade, which does not look good.
No, it doesn't look good.
So if I change that color then to the gray that we're actually fading to, and then I reduce the opacity, now it's a smooth fade, right? It looks a lot nicer.
Yep. Somebody asked, where was it? Oh yeah, about the backgrounds, the flowy, wavy thing. Where do you typically design that? Do you do an XD, or do you do it in Illustrator, or what's that process look like?
That type of stuff you could definitely do in XD.
Yep.
I mean, really, it's drawing a rectangle like this. Oops, come on. Double clicking on it, and then you can add points. So I would just add a point like this. Let me change the color of this so you guys can see that. Change a point like that, and then I would double click here, and I would move this one down. So you see, you can accomplish stuff like that really easily in here. Yep. I had that one made from the mock-up already, so that I didn't recreate it here, but there you go. I've just recreated it. Any type of vector work you can do in XD.
Totally.
Oh, fireworks.
Fireworks are here. So it's Chat and Win. We're gonna take a very quick break. When we come back, let us know, what did we ask them today?
What house are you in Harry Potter?
Ooh, all right. So throw that in the chat, and we'll take a quick break, and one of you will win 100 stickers. And we are back, and Josh just informed us that he is Slytherin. So I don't know if I can continue this stream. I'm Ravenclaw, by the way.
Someone said Slytherin.
Cheryl's
Okay.
Slytherin, okay. Joss is Gravenclaw? Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
Hufflepuff. Colby says your mom's house.
Ooh.
There you go. Ravenclaw, Gryffindor.
A lot of Gryffindors. Everyone thinks they're Gryffindor.
I know, I think so.
Don't you think so?
Have you actually done the tests?
Yeah, do the test.
Have you put that hat on? Probably not. Well, in just a moment, one of you will win lots of stickers, and you can put lots of houses of Harry Potter on there.
How did they get picked? Is there a big wheel that
there might be
spinning in
There's
the
a
background?
magical Adobe Sensei powered algorithm,
Yeah.
which chose Julia.
Julia,
There
congratulations.
she is. Congratulations, Julia. She says Hufflepuff. So the Hufflepuffs win. Slytherin, once again, does not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
But if you did not
always.
win your stickers, you can go to stickermule.com/Adobe Live. 19, you get 10 stickers for $1, which is still pretty good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Cool.
All right. And
Awkward
we're back.
silence.
Awkward silence. Sorry. We try to avoid those.
I know. We failed.
Yeah. Okay. So we're back. This is starting to look, you know, like an actual pretty case study now.
It's amazing what just an image can do. Just
Right.
pops, makes everything pop.
And actually, as you were saying yesterday, you don't have to cram everything into the header as long as it feels like there's some reason to scroll down.
Right.
And I think doing a fade on images is actually a good way to do that because it kind of encourages you to keep scrolling, right? To
Yep.
scroll down further. I'm gonna take this image too of this car and I'm gonna just turn the opacity down a little bit so that it'll make that white pop out more. Someone has said that I did not turn this all the way down to 0%, but I did. It wasn't just 10%. There you go. This is having that same problem though. Look, I mean the coloring on here, as we were seeing yesterday,
is.
right? There's light gray, dark gray. If I click on dark, oh no, it was user
Oh, you
error.
missed it.
I must have clicked on the guide or something. Okay, so we've got that going. In this background here, I had created this this grid, and this was a repeat grid. If you go back and watch yesterday, meaning we'll be able to take a bunch of images and just drop them onto this repeat grid. So it'll be really sad. It'll be like one of those satisfying videos that,
It will. It's
that the
like
kids are watching these days.
Designer ASMR or something. Just
God, I
repeat
can't
grids.
stand ASMR.
It's very interesting.
Anyone an ASMR fan out there? Whisper into the chat if you are. And then crinkle like some papers in front of it. Okay, so I'm gonna grab all these slides I did, which were for the brand positioning slide deck, and I'm gonna drop them in here. Boop. Magical.
Look at that.
Look at this. So magical.
And you do have the opacity down on
Yeah,
those
if I
cards, which is
turned
why you
this
can't see them
opacity
very
up,
well.
you'd see that these are all
Yeah.
totally.
Which you probably don't want to do because then it's very distracting and it blends with the images in the foreground.
Too distracting. So what I am going to do is drop some of the slides here though, and I'm going to get rid of these mountains, not necessary. I'm also going to turn up, one of the things when you transition from wireframes is many times you have a border on your boxes, and if you leave the border on, you may not notice it at first, but these look fuzzy. It's because you have a kind of medium gray border against a dark background.
Yep.
And it will not look nearly as sharp as if you turn that border off. So I'm gonna turn that border off. See, now it's crisp and clean.
Yeah. My wife just texted me that she's team Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the different, there's like qualities for each, right?
Yeah, Hufflepuff are,
You're pretending like
yeah.
it's not.
Ravenclaw is like the smart ones.
Okay.
Gryffindor is the brave and noble ones.
What did that mean? You just went about your wife's house.
No one likes Hufflepuffs.
Are they sissies or what?
Kind of.
Hufflepuffs.
They're
smart.
They're sort of smart. They're just there.
God. I really hope she's not watching this right now.
Oh, she is, I think. Okay. I'm gonna get some bad tweets from Hufflepuff. And then you and Slytherin are just evil people.
Oh, I thought we were clever and winners.
In a way, but not in a very, Yeah.
Sounds like you're just prejudiced.
Yeah, I am.
You're Gryffindor?
I am Ravenclaw.
Oh, you're Ravenclaw. So
Yeah.
Ravenclaw, they're really like arrogant and
Ouch.
prejudice. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna grab some slides here. Maybe I'll pull in this. Oh, look how satisfying that is.
Ooh,
just
that was
grab it.
fancy.
So I'll pull that one in. I want to show kind of the overview, and then this other one isn't really gonna matter because there's nothing on it. But
Julia's saying Hufflepuff is the best. We're funny and happy all the time. I would agree with that.
really,
Yeah.
funny and happy all the time.
They're very nice people, but
They're
there's
also just there,
they're
kind of.
they're just there.
There.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that does for you later on when you get home.
Val's not happy with me right now.
All right, I'm gonna continue to kind of layer on this design. I'm gonna add a couple other little things. I have this kind of laser green light thing that's going through the design throughout. I'm gonna put that in there because I wanna bring these elements in and just kind of start making things pretty.
Yep.
I'm gonna put this in here.
And that could also be made with the pen tool.
That could, totally,
yeah. Various other things.
So I'm gonna just kind of put that back there, kind of hanging out. Oops, wrong one.
So Riff is asking, how does the process look like for taking the XD mockup to actually making the site live? And that's an interesting question, because there are many ways you can go about this. But I do want to stress that XD is not a development application.
Yeah.
At least not at the moment. Who knows what the future holds, but you can't code within XD. Soon you'll be able to grab CSS from development specs.
Oh,
but
nice.
Yeah, every studio and every company is going to have a different flow, and you'll talk about yours in a second. But if you're looking to just make a website, there are a few plugins within XD that can help you do that. But I found that it'll never be perfect. The HTML won't be perfect. Resizability, responsiveness will never be perfect. So I would recommend to really work with a developer or know a little bit of HTML and CSS. It'll go a long way.
Yeah, another kind of way you can reverse engineer that is if you're working on a popular site publishing platform like Wix or Weebly or WordPress, find a theme that you really like as a starting point, and then use that as the foundation as you build the mockups. And I've actually done that on sites like Shopify that give you kind of a limited amount of freedom with what you can do to the templates. I'll find a really good template that I like, and then I'll build all my mockups off of knowing what I can and cannot customize, and those are what I show the client. And then when they get approved, I go into Shopify and I modify the theme to match my mockups. So it's a good kind of reverse engineer hack versus starting from scratch if you don't have a developer who can make everything pixel perfect.
Yep.
For me, in this particular project, I worked with, this was a development agency, so I worked with the development agency to actually build their own website. And that meant that I handed these off to their developer, the XD mockups and the source files, as well as that style guide that I put together that showed the actual typography sizes and everything and the colors. And then I waited for a couple weeks while they worked on building it out. And then I actually went through and I audited their site to make sure that everything was kind of pixel perfect. So this is the actual built out site. And they did a really good job trying to match the look and feel.
It does look
and
very
add some super
similar.
Nice little transitions and things.
And I love that there was that constant back and forth communication between you and the developer, because that will lead to something like this where everyone's happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I really think that that should be part of your job as a designer. Yep. And the companies don't always let you do it. I always offer though, and I always say I'm available after you build this out to go through and do an audit and let you know what things need to change and what things don't match the mockups. And it's kind of like an architecture firm saying once they hand off the designs, oh, we're done now, go build the building.
Right.
Which that's not the case. They continue to stay involved with the details until the building's actually done and the finish is ready and looks like the way that they planned, right?
Yep. Yeah. So Marilee is asking, if you drop different size images into that grid, will XD auto adjust them? So they won't. So shapes in XD act essentially as masks. So any image you drop in there, it will fit the image to that mask, and then you can double click and resize it. You can also just grab the shape and resize that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mask itself will just...
So it will automatically resize the image though.
The image will resize, but the actual shape will not.
So if I resize this, you see how it'll just vertically center and horizontally center the image to try and keep it in the frame.
Yeah. Danning is asking about this month's update. We're in August. We're in August 8th. Yeah, soon. Coming soon. And one of the key features, as Andrew Shorten tweeted out, I think this week or last week, is an update to components, so that if you want to add a shadow after the fact, it won't clip the shadow. It'll actually bleed through the component. And components will now also auto resize. So if you have one element inside of a larger component and you drag that over, before it basically clipped it, so you couldn't, it was gone. But now the component will actually get larger as you're dragging that little element over. I wish I can demo it. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but
could you?
It'll be here soon.
No?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I can message someone and ask, but I don't know if I can.
Demo it later if you're allowed. All right, so the top portion of this is looking good. I just added this little design feature, which I'm using these kind of throughout, and they're a nod to the logo and these little code pieces.
Yep.
So kind of repeating patterns throughout a design is kind of building a design language as you create a site, and that's really important to make things look consistent with the brand as well as page to page.
Yep.
And you'll find that as you go page to page when you're designing a website, those little components will start to build on themselves, and suddenly you'll have like kind of a library to work from, which is really nice. All right, I'm gonna change the background color of the overall design here because it's currently set at like a gray that kind of matches this artboard, but I want it to match this kind of gray blue. I don't know if you can tell over the stream, but this is kind of a gray blue, and that's been the, actually this gray blue. That's been the color that's part of their palette. So I'm gonna click on the artboard. I'm gonna go to, where is it? Fill, appearance fill. And then I'll click over on the color here. And that just changed this to that nice light blue. So
Nice.
It's gonna match a lot better now.
Terry's asking, how would you indicate the responsive versions in XD to your developer?
The responsive versions I typically mock up on separate artboards, and I did for this developer. They were coding it out using a CMS, so they didn't need me to do every page. And that's actually becoming really common where you work with development teams. And they say, just give us like 1 or 2 pages in mobile format, and we'll use that as the basis,
Right.
The foundation for everything else. So we kind of want to know what the header and the menu looks like. Everything else, most of the frameworks people use, Bootstrap, whatever it is, they kind of are automatically responsive. And for the most part, most clients don't care to get the mobile resizing like perfectly exact. They're like, it's okay. Those tools do a good enough job of putting everything into one column.
Yeah, and as you're designing, depending on how drastic or non-drastic you want the mobile version to look versus the desktop version, responsive resize in XD does a pretty good job at getting you about 80% of the way there. Of course, some mobile versions are completely different than the desktop versions. So in that case, you'll probably want to manually redesign all that stuff. But for the most part, turning on responsive resize with an artboard selected and pulling in those handles, it will shrink images, it'll move text around, it'll bring in repeat grids, it'll do a lot for you, and it'll get you about 80 to 90% of the way there.
Yeah. So I'm doing the same trick again now. I have a repeat grid here in XD that I set up yesterday. And I wanted to put all the different logo kind of variants and mockups here, even ones that were rejected. I've exported them. They're all in the file folder here. I'm gonna drag and pull them in.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at that. Very satisfying, right?
Yep.
And then I'm gonna turn off my layout so I can see with what it looks like. And right now they have a
oh, they have a border.
They have a border on them, and also this is like, I don't know if I can. I was trying to get this like 1 pixel more. Can you control it from here?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay. Let's try anyway. It did. Yeah,
did
it
it
did
do
work.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Looks like you were wrong, Howard.
It happens.
All right, and then I'm gonna change the background color of that border. Let's see, I made it into so that it matched the background color here. I don't know if I like that actually. I'll make it slightly darker. So it still is there, but it's light. Yeah. Okay. So there's some separation there. And I put these crossed out. It's just kind of a playful way, but now they're in the wrong spot. So I'm gonna move some of these. Didn't use this, didn't use this.
Kristen's asking, any tips on combining GIFs with an XD artboard? I've used Photoshop, but noticed colors degrade on export. GIFs are tricky. So XD doesn't, at the moment, support GIFs, whether you're importing or exporting. It's definitely something the team is working on, especially importing GIFs onto an XD workspace. And eventually, it will probably support exporting GIFs as well. But like you said, there's color degrading because GIFs it's a pretty old technology. It's also it's difficult to put many different frames into a single image that isn't massive in file size. Even Photoshop and even many other applications have a hard time getting decent GIFs. So it's something we're working on, but I don't have a time frame for that yet.
All right, so I have my grid here, and I've crossed out kind of the rejects. It's just kind of a playful way to, let me do one more cross out. There we go. Just kind of a playful way to show that, there was some process of elimination going on here in trial and error. And then I'm gonna move on to here, and I've already placed one logo there. I have this kind of background sublayer that I wanna play with, and I'm thinking about making that this kind of bright green as kind of a background. Let me try it out and we'll see. Also, I could be sampling from, oops.
In the assets, yeah,
The
it
assets,
could be.
yeah. What's the shortcut to get to those?
To the assets panel,
Yeah.
Command-Shift-Y, and then Command-Y to go back to layers.
So I've got this layer. Maybe I'll make it full all the way. There we go. And now I'm gonna put another logo here. So let me grab, let's see, what should I use? Maybe I'll use this B. I'll put it here. I'll make it big because this is one of the logo variants.
It's very simple and minimalistic. I like it.
Simple, thank you. I'll match that to the green background, so it's kind of brings that in there. Then I did also want to pull in, let's see, I have a graphic I want to use here. I think it was let's see here. Maybe I have it, maybe I don't. Ah, here, the Beast standalone. Need to get rid of these mountains. And you see how the image was smaller than the frame, so I have to make it bigger so it fits. Okay, now I have two B's, and I don't really like that either, so maybe I'll do a
Mix it up a little bit.
maybe I'll do the green version. Because I think if I do a dark box, it's gonna look funny on top of the screen. Oops. What's the width here? 520.
Although with that green, it's a little bit difficult to read development. Or it could just be on that monitor.
It might just be on, let's see. Oops. When it's big, it's not as bad.
Okay, it was zoomed out a little bit. That's a bit better.
But we could also, one of the variants that's allowed is to get rid of that. We can just hide it for now. That works good. Simple, right?
Yep.
Cool. And these have borders on them, so I'm gonna get rid of those borders. I think that has a border on it too. And then the last thing I wanna pull in is where is it? This. So I wanna grab this and pull that into the mood board. And I'd exported that already as a graphic. So I'll go over to my Behance template. I need to make one more of these guys. Ooh, I don't really want to make one more of them because it's going to throw off my layout for everything else. I'll put it here. That's not really helping us. So let's do mood board. I'll drag it in right there. Boom.
Oh, so that was what Marilee was talking about, where the image didn't resize.
Yeah.
So if I'm understanding it correctly, that if the image that you're dragging in is smaller than the image mask or the shape, it will not enlarge it, because that usually degrades the quality of the image.
Yeah.
If the image is larger than the shape, it will squeeze it down to fit, but it will not do the other way around.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I believe so.
One thing that I haven't added here yet is any drop shadows, and I am going to do that because it'll add some dimension here. So you see how that wouldn't let me do?
Yeah, I think you were selecting a group.
It's because you can't do shadows on groups yet. So
Right.
if I ungroup this, wow, that green looks really hot on this monitor. I hope it's not quite that bad for people watching at home.
Oh, it is. It's quite different.
Very, very different. Yeah, and on mine it's much more of a Quip toothbrush green.
It's very specific.
Well, I own one, so I look at that green all the time. I'm gonna do like a kind of a big drop shadow here. So it's kind of really lifting it off the page a bit. I did
Yep.
20, 30, and then 40 for the blur.
Do you have a specific calculation for drop shadow? Because I think Apple, for example, they do double. The blur is double whatever the
offset is?
offset is.
Oh, is that right?
I think so. I heard that somewhere.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't have a calculation.
I don't either. Just
whatever
crank
looks
it up.
good, right?
See what, yeah.
One of the things that can be challenging when you do have a group and you want to add a shadow is then, you can't. But I think...
You can just click through to the image and add it there.
Will that apply it, though, to... Okay.
As long as it's not a clipping mask or an actual object mask, because then it'll clip the shadow, at least at the moment.
That's what I was going to ask, is
Yeah.
if it would clip the shadow.
Yeah, but if it's just an image
I see.
within a shape, it's fine.
Okay, so I'm doing that. There's no way to copy and save like a layer style, though, like there's in Photoshop yet. Huh?
No, so depending on what it is, you can actually copy the properties. But for an image, if you were to right click on it, or if you were to copy and then paste the properties on another shape with an image, it'll actually paste the image, which you probably don't want.
Okay.
Well, you obviously don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I kind of test as I'm building something out. I like to test it by playing it in this frame, which lets you view it without distractions. Oh, look, I didn't have my, that's a good example. I didn't have this dark area go all the way to the top.
Oh, I see.
So it left this light band at the top.
Yep.
It's starting to feel much more like a actual case study, right?
Yeah, I like the separation between dark and light. Even though I love dark mode stuff, too dark is just, it gets depressing after a while.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to alternate. It helps you break up the sections too.
Yep.
So that when people look at your design, they kind of know where different things are. Okay, so it's looking good.
And Cheryl's also saying you can open the layers panel and select the object within the group. Yeah, you can definitely do that. You can also hold down your command key or control on Windows and then click to dive directly into a group or mask.
All right, so let's move on here. We've got this grid in the background. It looks like I have a gray transition gradient. I need to change that to match my new kind of blue background. Change this as well.
So Angelique is saying that her school teacher still wants to use Photoshop as a web design tool instead of XD because she thinks Photoshop is better for design because you can do more than with XD. That's interesting. I'd be curious if there are any specific tools that that teacher's referring to, because we do have some things coming that I know a lot of people have been asking for, specifically that are in Photoshop that are not in XD. So I'd be interested, but Photoshop I found is obviously it wasn't built for web design, it wasn't built for UI design. So it does have a lot more features than XD, but those features aren't necessarily built for, web and mobile design.
Yeah, my experience with teachers who are kind of in that mindset still, I don't know what the age of your teacher is, but there's definitely a mindset of kind of the older guard of people who were doing web design earlier, including myself, where Photoshop was what we used for everything.
Right.
Because you had to slice layers and you had to slice images and reduce image sizes. And so it's kind of it could be leftover thinking from that kind of earlier era. But definitely if you're doing UI design and if you're doing web design, unless it's really, heavy with image editing, which most web design is not nowadays.
Right.
You really should be using a lighter weight tool like XD, and then using Photoshop when you need to do image manipulation or isometric mockups or device mockups or anything that requires you to skew an image or distort or improve an image.
Yep.
Jump into Photoshop, do that, and then come back into XD. And that's one of the nice things with the Adobe Suite and like subscribing to all the tools if you're on Creative Cloud is you can use Photoshop for that photo manipulation, come over here for this, jump into Illustrator for icon design, and they all work really well and interact really well with each other.
Yeah, and with Creative Cloud libraries, you can save basically entire layers, entire groups, entire documents from Photoshop to the Creative Cloud, bring that into XD, and then if you need to edit it, you can always right-click, press Edit, and then you go back to Photoshop, make your edits, and it all stays in sync. And in the next version of XD coming out sometime in August, you can right-click on an image and press Edit in Photoshop. Photoshop pops open, you make your edits, you save it, and it updates in XD.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to continue adding on cross compatibility between XD and many applications like Illustrator and Photoshop. But Rebecca brings up perspective and distort text boxes. That's a good suggestion. Something that XD doesn't have right now. You can't distort.
Yeah.
A simple shape. That might come in the future, but yeah. Things like that, you got to go to Photoshop for now. Blend modes is in Photoshop, but not in XD yet.
Right.
Might be coming, maybe.
Ah, blend modes.
Blend modes.
So nice.
Yeah.
I dream about blend modes.
Do you?
Coming to XD someday. Yeah, be nice. Actually, the next thing I'm going to do is an example of something I had to do in Photoshop because there weren't blend modes in XD. So,
well, not yet.
Not yet. What are you foreshadowing?
I'm just saying not
Are you
yet.
hinting? You leaking?
I cannot leak anything.
This is mysterious. Okay, I'm gonna go to the wireframes. And one of the things I wanted to do was to grab a screenshot of all of these wireframes.
Yep.
And I had to Google for an answer, but what I wanted to show was all of the connecting points between all of the pages. And a nice trick is if you hit Command A, it'll show and highlight all of the connection points. Which, if anyone hasn't used the prototype tab in XD, it's really awesome because you can now click on one of these, hit play. Oop, didn't adjust my viewport, apparently. Do I have to do that over here? That's a problem that happens a lot, actually. How do I do this, Howard?
What are you trying to do?
Scrolling, vertical.
Scrolling, yeah.
And then you have to, I don't know why by default it's not turned on, but you have to go to scrolling, vertical, and then you have to change your viewport to let you know, like 900 pixels.
Yeah, so if you start with an artboard that's, let's say, 1920 by 1080, and then you drag the handle down, it'll automatically add scrolling. But if you started with an artboard that's like 5,000 pixels, it will not add scrolling.
It'll assume that's the viewport window.
Yes.
It's a bad assumption, but okay.
Marlene is asking about the gradient. So you added a gradient today, it looked great. Yesterday you ran into a problem where the colors weren't. Did you figure that out?
I didn't figure out what was going on, no.
I didn't either.
Which is kind of odd, yeah. But it seems to be okay today, so it could have just been a quirk of the gradient plus the transparency I was using or something.
Yeah.
So I've got all of these. I want to show these connection points. If I grab a screenshot of this, though, and here was my problem. If I grab a screenshot of all these, then I pull this in. Oops, I didn't have the handles visible. So I'm gonna grab a screenshot, pull it in, go to my template. It has this light gray that is just too close to the blue.
Yep.
And you really shouldn't have color values that are like too close to each other because they typically don't look good together. Like you don't want like a really light gray and a really light blue next to each other because that kind of creates a fuzzy visual, right? And so I thought, I'll use an overlay to correct that, but I couldn't do that. So I did open it in Photoshop and I did a little
Not yet.
mock-up. Yeah. I made a kind of a transparent version that I could pull in here. Okay, there.
There we go.
So I just went into Photoshop and I removed the background and turned it into a transparent PNG. Here we go. So now we've got this very cool looking kind of overview screen.
I love those. People post them often to Twitter, and they post these massive projects that they've been working on. They just Command A. You just see like these wires exploding in all directions. It's really cool.
Yeah, I have one mobile project I worked on that had like over 100 screens, and you could just zoom out and then hit Command A, and you would just have. It's fun to show, and I think in this case, showing this shows an understanding of these weren't just wireframes, but there was actual prototyping going on. This was a clickable prototype even at the wireframe stage, and it shows a degree of knowledge in terms of UI and UX and flow that I don't think you couldn't really write about it, and showing it to me is a much better option. So I'm going to send that to the back. It looks like I need to move my grid.
Oh, the magical repeat grid.
What's that?
Is that the magical repeat grid
The
grid?
repeat grid
Yeah.
needs to go to the back. There we go. I sent it all the way to the back. And then I'm gonna pull the same trick that I did up here, and I'm just actually gonna reuse this. Oh, this has to, I wanna fade this out, but it's gonna cover up the grid if I do that, won't it?
It might. It will.
I would need to bring the grid
above
it.
Yeah.
But that might look kind of messy.
It
looks too messy.
Don't do
there.
that.
Okay.
Cheryl's talking about dark mode.
Dark mode?
Dark mode. We were just talking to one of the designers about dark mode earlier. And it seems, from the outside, it seems like something very easy to do. You just go in and change colors on things. But
oh, right.
dark mode's a very complex problem that the team is absolutely exploring, but it's, at the moment, it would take people away from features like states or features like, what other features have we? Live collaboration and things like that. Look, there's dark mode. Go to Photoshop, you have dark mode.
Welcome to Photoshop.
Yeah, I would love dark mode in Adobe XD, or at least more customization of the workspace, but it's a tricky and very long problem to solve, but I think it'll get there at some point. We just have to find time, and we have to really prioritize other features around it.
Sounds like an excuse. All right, so what I did there was I went into Adobe Photoshop, and I'm using a giant marquee with a giant feather on it, because that's my solution since I couldn't fade that thing out easily. Maybe someone has a better solution, but this is my solution.
What was that? I was not paying attention.
Wow, rude. All right, I want to pull this in now and use this instead. So I've just faded this image down into nothing, and now I can use it. Okay, and I'm gonna overlap these guys. I'll pull these. I guess I need to send this backwards. Okay, pull these guys up. I'll put a drop shadow on them. Shadow 20, 30, 40. Here we go. And I can
what are your thoughts on the trend about the last year or two on colored shadows? You see those?
Colored, yeah. I think it's just a fad. It'll go away.
I think so.
But I do like when I'm guilty of doing this. I did this on a site where it was supposed to look like everything was kind of like from like a light source and a background that had a green hue to it.
Oh, yeah.
So the shadows looked really good if they were kind of colored that way.
Yep.
It can also make it look like if you've got a lot of depth on your design, like those things are almost emitting like a backlight.
Yeah.
So if it's done right, I think it can be really tasteful.
If it's done right, yeah.
But I think I see a lot of people do it just because it's trendy, and to me that's, don't do stuff just because it's trendy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Won't look good.
All right, so I'm gonna pull in a couple wireframes here now. What do you think is a good wireframe to use?
It's kind of fancy.
Yeah.
That one's okay.
Not that one. That one's decent.
That's not bad.
That's the homepage wireframe.
Yeah.
That one's kind of fun. All right, I'll pull this one in services. And then I will pull in.
So Angelique is asking about the fading. Is it possible to make in XD or easier to use in Photoshop? So I think it depends on what you need. If you need to actually fade, like fade out an object, it's probably easier to do it in Photoshop at the moment. But if your background is white and you just want to fade to white, then you can put a rectangle above the shape and then just go from 0% opacity to 100% and both colors set to white. But if you're dealing with multiple objects that are kind of in the background and the foreground, and you need a fade and you can't really put one on top of the other because it'll look weird, then I think hopping over to Photoshop, fading using a layer mask, and then copying that into XD will probably be the best solution at the moment.
I have a question for you, Howard. When I resize a masked image, it always wants to keep it vertically and horizontally centered. So if I go like this, for example, I want to pull it down, but I want the top to remain where it is. Any way to...
So try going over to the right under responsive resize, turn manual on, and then make sure it's anchored to the top. So press that one there. Try that. See what...
I thought I had tried that and it didn't work. Yeah.
No, that didn't work.
But I would expect that to work, right? And then I've even double clicked on the image and I thought, well, it'll... So maybe, what if I turn responsive resize off? No, no luck. Okay. It's not a big deal.
That's interesting.
It seems like it should. Intuitively, I thought that that would work.
It should. I could have sworn it did at some point.
The auto resize. Right?
I'll have to ask about that.
Okay. Does that mean you won't actually ask about it?
If I remember, I'll ask about it.
I used to work with a guy who would always just say, I've got my eye on that. And that meant he was going to do nothing.
Yeah.
He would just, and he's like, I like to say that. It makes people feel better.
Cheryl's saying try unchecking fixed height.
Where's that option?
Under manual.
Okay.
No.
That didn't do it. Oh, but it's
Or
not
try
anchored.
anchoring it too.
Okay. No, not doing it.
I could have sworn it did that at some point.
Sad.
Maybe there's a bug in the matrix.
Yeah, maybe, because that seems like unnatural behavior.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's 107. I'm gonna write down the time frame of this this bug.
What? Of the
potential bug, so I can just send the clip to the engineers and bother them.
like it. I'm also gonna turn down this grid. You see how it was kind of overpowering before, and I think it feels a little better if it's softer. Because we don't really want it to distract. It's not a key thing. It's just kind of a nice little highlight, right?
Yep.
All right. You could go even further if you really wanted to and even colorize the wireframes to kind of match. I'm not going to do that because it seems like overkill.
Yeah, I feel like wireframes should be pretty monochromatic.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bring color because it just distracts you. Because for me, the stuff that's colored is the final result. And the wireframes are kind of the exploratory phase and, you know, the early goodness.
I would agree with that. All right, so we've got the branding, brand position, branding, wireframes. Now we're going to move to mockups, which that's exciting. I need to ungroup this, add some nice shadows. 20, 30, 40. How are we doing on time?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
So situations like this, if you were to copy this layer,
yeah,
just Command C and then go to those other rectangles.
Okay.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, just copy. Go to those other rectangles. Right click, and then paste appearance.
Paste appearance. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. If there was an image inside of it, then it would also paste the image.
Oh, would it?
It would. Which could be good in some cases, but yeah. That's one way to kind of do layer styles at the moment, or copy layer styles.
That's cool. Okay, yeah, I like that. The XD's competitor, Sketch, has a problem with that. You copy an appearance, and it loses it after like the first time you paste it. You can't keep doing it.
Oh, that's weird.
It's weird. It's like the further away you get, even though you haven't copied anything else, it'll just drop it, and you'll have to keep redoing copy appearance, copy appearance. Weird bug. Okay, so I'm gonna start dropping in design mockups in here. Let's see, we've got mockups. We'll put the home page because that seems like the one we should put in there.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's. Here we go. Nice. I don't know. Do you think I should show more than just that, or is just kind of chunking it up into sections, right?
I think that looks okay.
Okay. I'm gonna put a couple other pieces here. So, case studies page is okay. The blog page is kind of fun. Maybe I'll put the blog page over here. That's nice. Then what should we put here? One of these kind of typography heavy ones, maybe.
That's a big question.
I'm gonna put the services page. Yeah, like this.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. And one thing I found when I was working with XD for this project was that it lets you double click, like every time you double click, it takes you deeper into the groupings of the layer. So if you have a group within a group within a group, you can reach it. You just have to double click like 4 times.
Yeah, you can also hold down Command or Control and then just like dive directly. So if you have a little button within a group, within a group, within a group, you could get to it by double clicking, double clicking, double clicking, or you can just hold down Command and then click on the circle, and it'll automatically just avoid all the groups and go straight to it. Yeah.
Did you ever work in Flash?
A long time ago.
You had to like, it was like that movie Inception, where you're like a dream within a dream within a dream. You'd go into timelines and it would change your whole view, and now you're in this timeline of this grouping, and then you could click into an object in the timeline.
It's like isolation mode.
Yes.
Yeah. A few other applications have that, and I know some people have asked for that in XD because some people like isolation mode. I love the way XD currently handles things like components, where if you want to edit a master component, you're not taken to this magical world of isolation.
Yeah.
You can just do everything in line. But some people love the isolation thing, so it's something that, you know, there's been discussions whether that's the right way or inline. Of course, as states and components get deeper and deeper, we'll probably have to think about what the right way to handle all this is.
The isolationists.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna start putting some components in here. And you can do that by going and just grabbing them directly from your mockups.
You could.
I'd exported some of them just so they'd be easy to grab, and I have them in my graphics here. So I made this graphic for them, but you have to be careful not, if I drop it onto the rectangle, it'll use that as the frame.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to drop it off of it if you're gonna put multiple things in one place.
Yeah, I've actually spoken to one of the engineers about that. And
Oh, yeah?
That's obviously a great feature that you can just drop it onto a frame, but there are times where you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You want to drop it onto your artboard and not go into a mask. So it sounds like they're exploring, can you hold down Command or can you hold down Shift? And it'll kind of ignore whatever it's on top of and just, you know, that might be coming at some point.
Yeah, it would be kind of, I mean, they could even do, if you drag it over and it highlights that box, they could even do a zone that would let you not do it, you know, depending on where you drop it on the box or something, an icon or. All right, so I want to highlight some of these pieces of design. So I'm putting some of the graphics in here.
Yep.
I've got that. I've got this kind of infinity wheel that they wanted to use to describe their services. So maybe I'll put that in here. I have this component too, which is just a nice little kind of grouping of ideas.
For anyone just joining or want to take part in the challenge, we have 15 minutes until we're going to review some of your magical challenge entries. So head to behance.net/challenge/XD. Read up all about, I mean, you're probably not going to do it in 15 minutes, but if you've been working on it, pop it in Discord and we'll take a look at it shortly. And hey, William Patterson is in the house. Kate Kassab, welcome everyone.
Got one more graphic I'm going to put in here, which is this infinity wheel. Put this in here because that's kind of fun. So this is a way to just highlight the details of your design work.
Right.
I think just putting pure screenshots can be nice, but it also lets people, when they're zoomed out especially, they'll lose the details of even, you know, you could put, I did custom little icons for this site. So
they're very difficult to see
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I've done icon design for where I've done a whole set, I'll put that like in line with the case study, so you can see, you know, the work around all the icon design. All right, so we're getting near the end of this template. I need to make my artboard a little bigger because I ran out of space.
Oh no.
I know.
Now you got to find the fancy, shiny mock-up.
And I also I'm gonna just to make this a little more interesting, I'm gonna make this a full width background so there's a nice break there. I think that looks really clean. So I'm gonna have that, and then I will bring this down here, and I'll have this dark one come up and meet it. That'll be kind of a nice way to close off. So I'm gonna go get a glossy mock-up to work with. Let's see, where is this thing? I thought I had one. Oh, here we go. Do I not have it?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Might need to go find one. Oh, here we go.
There's a mockup folder. There you go.
Oh yeah, I even did an isometric mockup just to appease people, but I didn't put it in there.
Right.
So this is an example of an isometric mockup, and it is a cool way to show your designs in like a 3D space.
It's all right.
There's no, practical reason why you should be showing your designs like they're pieces of cardboard.
Right.
It's cool and it's trendy, and I wouldn't say don't do it, but for me, I try to avoid too much of that. Putting a shot in every now and then I think can be okay. But.
Yeah, I often use things like this, not necessarily to showcase the product, but to have it in the background.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if you have like a straight-on view of maybe an iPhone mock-up, you can put that in the background, just turn down the opacity, just so there's a little bit there, and it makes it a little bit fancy.
Can I drop a PSD into Sketch?
What now?
If I drop this PSD, what will happen? Nothing.
What you call it Sketch?
Oh! I'm sorry.
You can drag it onto the XD icon at the bottom.
Yeah.
Or you can go to File, Import, and do that. But that'll open up.
I want to do what you just said. I want to use this as the background.
Oh, you can do that.
Cool idea. Nice idea.
Thank you.
It'll be a way to
Must be a
cap
large
the design here at the end.
Yeah. Must be a very large
I think it is a
image.
high res image. Okay, I'm not going to do that then. Is it going to force me to wait for this thing?
It might.
No, okay.
There
it
it
worked.
goes.
Okay.
Although that's probably not what you wanted.
Not what I was hoping
I
for.
think you were probably using smart objects, and you were probably using distortion and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm just going to do the cheap trick of... Oh, I can't. This little icon's in the way. I just want to grab a screenshot of this. Okay, here, I'm going to grab a screenshot of... Screenshot grab. All right, and then we'll use Howard's idea to make a fancy background. Oops. All right, there we go. It's fancy.
So fancy.
It's looking good. I sent it to the back, and now I gotta send that to the back. And you said just bring that opacity down, huh?
Yeah,
so
just so
kinda
it's there, but it's not the main focal point.
Yeah, maybe I'll actually bring this down. Do a clean break here, since now we've got a fancy background. Okay. All right. There's no way, if I have objects on top of my artboard, is there any way to select the artboard? Or do I need to like move stuff and then just double click on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if you're in the layers panel, you can do it that way.
Okay. All right. So let's drop our fancy mock-up in place of that one. Cool. It's called MacBook, even though it is not a MacBook. Here we go. Look at
That is definitely dark mode going on there.
that cool dark mode.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that neat? On second thought, I don't know if I like this in the background.
No.
Doesn't really match anything
Well,
that we're
I'm
doing
sorry.
currently. It was an okay idea, but we're gonna. Well, I think in most designs it would be a good idea.
Maybe. If the iMac was silver or white, it might have.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
it was
that was
blending
it.
too much. Yeah.
It's just And then I want to add a little bit of more layering here, so I'm gonna grab this. Come on, grab this neon green type thing. Put it at the bottom here. Put it behind my monitor.
Ooh.
Ooh, look at that. Bring it. Oh, nope, wrong thing. Bring it down a little so it kind of is peeking out there. All right, and then I want to put a final design here in the screen. We're gonna have to do a little trickery because if it was really on the screen, this what's it called? Reflection light would be on top of it. So I'm gonna have to fake that. So I'll put that as a screen, and then I'm gonna drop in one of these mock-ups as a final thing. Images, mock-ups. Let's do the case study detail. There we go. So we can put a logo in there that's impressive. Just put Porsche's logo.
Oh, that looks
Everyone's impressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that looks nice, yeah. Now I got to take care of this shine. So
Right.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this I'm going to draw a rectangle. And then I'm going to hit enter. Oops. Enter, so I can adjust these and match the angle of that shine. Okay, turn the border off, and then change my fill to a linear gradient. Change that to white, and then turn the opacity all the way down on it. Okay. Does this shine? No, yeah, okay, it does. Can you control, you can't just round one.
Not
yet,
so you converted it to a path.
Yeah.
Before you converted it, you could have done it.
You could have done that, okay.
Yeah, but now that's a path, you can't do it anymore.
Okay. So I need this transparency to go all the way to the end of the shape. Oops. There we go. Should probably just... How do I make this not like a line? Oh, there we go. I don't know why I had those in there. There we go. And then I'll turn the opacity way down on that.
Yeah.
There. And voila, we have our shine happening now.
Fancy.
Right? Ah, cool.
Looks good.
Nice. The last piece that I'm going to do is I want this, oops. I want this background to fade down to a darker color because I think that'll look a little more finished, polished. I'll do linear gradient. Keeps that top one. I'll actually darken this even more down to like a...
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the wrong gray. I want that gray. So I'm sampling the grays because otherwise, if you have a like a blue gray and just a pure gray, it looks really yellowy next to it. You could see if I do this type of gray, it starts to look really yellowy, right? Versus the kind of like dark blue gray. So,
yep.
All right. And there we go.
That will do it.
Let's take a look at a full scroll. Oops.
Wrong one.
Wrong artboard. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I didn't, hold on.
Uh-oh.
I didn't fix that
the
annoying
little
thing
line
at the
at the
top.
top.
It's bothering me. Yeah, that was just lazy.
It happens.
Did that mess everything else up? No, okay. Let's try again. All right, now the reveal. Okay. So we've got our header. We would write an intro text here, something that goes over the problem of that the client was having and kind of how you help solve it, right? Looking at brand positioning now. So have that nice background layer that kind of shows the depth of the work that was done without it being too distracting, just highlighting a couple of the key things. I mean, just with this one slide, you can see some of the work that went into this particular presentation, which is important to what I'm trying to show. Branding, kind of showing some of the ugly rejects, as Howard said, is a good idea as well. The final logo and the mood boards that went into that, so the look and feel. Then an application of that logo on top of an image of one of their clients. And then down into wireframes. So again, using those layers to show the amount of work, kind of the width and depth of the work that you did, and then the details up here front and center. And then finishing up with the grand finale of the design mockups, which get even wider than what we've been maintaining, which was on our layout grid. It's kind of a more dramatic move to say, okay, now these are more important, so they're bigger. Scroll down, you get to see that, and then you get to see page layout. And that's one of the things I really, really like about Behance is by scrolling and seeing multiple images at the same time, it's like being in the atmosphere of that design versus only one room at a time. And when you look at something like where you're just looking at one screen at a time, like a slide deck or kind of how a lot of people do dribble presentations, it doesn't give you a sense of all the work together, where Behance lets you show your work in a way that creates an atmosphere of what the look and feel of that work actually was and what it felt like, right? And I can see I forgot to take borders off of these. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Should have done that. I'll fix it. And then some design details of the page to show some of the effort that went into just the little bits and details and graphics that you've created. It could be icons, it could be illustrations. And then finished off with a nice glossy mock-up and our kind of electric green Tron laser beam in the background. So I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, I think I could show this to someone, a potential client, and they'll come away understanding way more of what I'm capable of versus if I just would have put up finished work. All right. So Howard was going to take over the rest of the segment.
So I'm hopping into Discord, just getting ready for the challenge reviews, which is going to be in about 2 minutes. And then afterwards, I guess we'll probably start talking about actually putting this on Behance.
Oh, are we going to do that?
I don't know.
We could do that.
We can show a little bit of that.
I had wanted to also take this template and apply a different client to it real quick. And I won't get very far.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show that when you put in the legwork to do the design of these wireframes, it really pays off once you start repeating and using them again. So I'm going to copy this whole thing. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to paste this template in there. And I'm going to use it for one of my previous streams, which was for Weedman Design Partners. And they were a client that was an interior design agency. And I'm going to go in and open their files now. Let's see, open recent.
Arif is asking, what's the point of showcasing the wireframes?
The point of showcasing the wireframes is showing the work that went into planning for the website design. And it's the same as an architecture firm showing blueprints versus just the finished renderings, right? It's to show that you have the capability to think through the problem as a designer in a way that shows that you understand process, that you understand flow, that you understand user behavior, and that you're actually doing all of that work versus there's actually a lot of agencies where someone else does the wireframes entirely. They do all the work for the layout and they have a full-time UX person. They give you the wireframes and someone else gives you the design files and then you just put them together on some cases, especially with bigger brands. I worked on a project for Intel once where it was literally like, here's the logo, here's the colors, here's the fonts, here's the images, just put them together. Like, you know, and I think that's actually the case. So showing this background stuff can show all of your capabilities as the designer, and that's why I like to do it personally.
Yeah, I agree. And most clients, if they're looking, like we talked about this earlier, but if they're looking for potential designers, they don't want to see just the final result. They want to see everything from start to finish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Oh, look, here we go.
All right.
So we're going to hop into Discord. We're going to take a look at some of the entries that have come in over the last day or so. We probably won't see many of day 3's challenge, so we'll definitely take a look at some of yesterday's as well. So we have one from Julia. Let me go ahead and open this. Here we go. And if you are brand new to the XD Daily Creative Challenge, head over to behance.net/challenge/XD. All the information is there. So this looks like day number 2. Let me just remind everyone.
Yeah.
Day number 2 is to design a recipe collection app curated from top chefs around the world.
Fun.
All right. So Julia, I think, who won today's stickers.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is her.
The big winner.
So she's got a nice presentation going on.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
And this is laid out however she wants in terms of the...
Yeah.
Okay, great. Feels really nice and light and airy, and I really like that you went minimalist and monochromatic so that the food and the photos become like, you know, the star of the show.
Yeah, I would say that maybe the white gradients are a little bit distracting. It's kind of pulling away from the bright, vibrant food. So maybe I know she was probably trying to make sure that the text pops.
Yeah.
It's very tricky, but to find that balance between, you know, the food in the background and also allowing enough of that text to pop through.
Yeah,
so maybe play with that just a little bit. Oh, there's a video. Cool. Boop.
There There's the boop.
There's the boop.
The Pinsky boop. Ooh, nice.
That was cool.
I like the animation.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Nice. Let's play that one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say the gradient's a little bit distracting, but everything else looks pretty good. I love that the way the image kind of
Yeah, it's really nice.
got a little bit smaller as she scrolled down.
One thing I would suggest in terms of typography is potentially using 2 different typefaces, one for the headers and one for the body. In this case, because it's all serifed font, and also kind of the biggest things are not the most important. So size-wise, Recipe by Anne and Chef at 3 Stars, everything's kind of the same color and the same weight and the same size. It's hard to visualize the hierarchy of what's important, where most people kind of want to jump into the ingredients or things. So it's not, this looks good still, but I would think about letting things breathe a little bit and potentially using differing font faces, which can help make it a little more clear as to when you're trying to kind of do some information foraging and find what you need.
Totally. All right. Good job, Julia. Let's scroll up, and we got day 2 from Mergka. Mergka, possibly?
You just butchered that name.
I apologize. All right, so this is also the Chef app. Jamie Oliver. All right, it looks like we might get a scroll over here. Yep, got scroll going on. Click.
Ooh.
That was kind of cool.
Nice big dramatic animation. That's very cool.
We can bookmark it. Fancy.
Yeah.
I would probably say the yellow on the bookmark, the little bit, it kind of blends in with the pizza in the background.
Yeah.
So maybe add it looks like there might be a shadow there.
Yeah, there's a shadow.
Yeah.
It's the yellow's a color when it's against whites and greens. It makes it hard to see for sure.
It's tricky.
I think this looks really nice. I would be careful of the amount of space you use though, because I think that background image could go all the way to the edges potentially, because right now that the white area, which is your content area, has pretty fat margins on the side between the photo in the background and the sides.
I'm having lots of fun.
The app. Howard's just digging that transition.
Well, I like how I didn't even notice this, but I like how when you make this smaller, the bookmark icon remains yellow. I didn't notice that the first time.
Oh, that's a nice touch.
I noticed that like the 14th time I
yeah.
clicked on that. But yeah, it's nice.
Very cool.
Library. Okay. Ooh, that was fancy. Recently added, Jamie Oliver, and it goes back to the beginning.
Very pretty. Very, very nice, pretty presentation too.
Yeah, really nicely done.
Good. Good work.
Oh, so he has 2 flows basically, one for the bookmark and one for non-bookmark. Okay, interesting.
That's a good attention to detail.
It is.
Prototype.
Yeah.
I get kind of obsessive about my prototypes like that too. It'll make you create like 3 forked paths just in case someone decides to bookmark while they're looking at it.
Yeah, and as I'm viewing these things, I'm thinking about how states are going to improve once we release states at some point this year. Right now when you click on this bookmark and you click off of it, you essentially have to have 2 artboards just for the different bookmarked states. But once states is available, you won't have to have 2 artboards. You can just have...
Something will maintain state through animations and...
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be nice.
It'll be fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so great job, Mergka. I'm going to go with that. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Graziel. I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry. All right, so this is also from yesterday. It's the Chef app. Here we go. Oh, it's a nice,
that is
nice
cool.
simple
Really
landing
nice.
page. Yeah,
That's a fun font too.
it is. I wonder what that font is.
Yeah, what is that font?
I don't know.
Tell us the font.
Yeah, if you're in the
If you're
chat,
in the chat,
let us
we
know.
want to know. It looks very fun and approachable, but not like Comic Sans-ish.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I see. So it looks like, can you scroll on that at all or no?
No.
Oh, okay. Looks like the
maybe.
boxes and the colors kind of represent different pieces of information.
Yeah, it looks like you should be able to click on each one and go to the next one. Or can you? No, you can. Sort. It looks like you might be able to, but there might be some layering issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this
Yeah,
border?
that border's kind of distracting,
Yeah.
I would say, because it's a colored border, and I think you're using the colored borders to indicate different things. So if you click on one, the gold border shows calories, and the blue border shows recipes, I think, or ingredients, right?
Oh yeah.
Which is, it's a cool idea. I do think it becomes distracting, especially a colored harsh border with a drop shadow. It almost looks like the drop shadow is on both sides of the border. Maybe not. Oh no, it's not. But I guess it's not, there's no drop shadow on the border over the image, but there is over the white when it's under the white box. So anyways, I think it makes a tricky visual kind of illusion that makes your eyes bounce around a bit. So I may avoid doing that. It would look a lot cleaner without it, I think, actually.
Yeah, and Val's pointing out Adobe Capture. Let me see if I can log in here, and let's see if this works. So you can point it at a font, and I believe...
No way.
Tap to select text. Did that... Let's see. Is that it? No, that's similar.
Oh, it found
so it
similar
finds,
fonts, though.
Yeah, that one's pretty close.
I've never used that.
Yeah,
Adobe
it's really
Capture.
cool.
It's really awesome.
You can basically, open, Adobe Capture does a ton of stuff, but you can open the app, point it at some text, select the text, and it shows you similar fonts that are part of the Adobe Fonts library. It's really neat.
Does Adobe, will it do colors and things, or what does Adobe Capture actually do? I've never used it.
Yeah, so here's, you can do materials, so you can essentially like freeze material, or we don't have any like interesting materials here, but it does types, it does shapes, colors. So you can have, look at that. As I'm moving the camera around, none of you can see it. I don't have it plugged in.
This is so amazing.
But yeah, it does all these different things. Looks, patterns,
He's just holding
brushes.
the camera up and it's just pulling colors
Yeah.
out of the scene and
So if
putting
you're,
them into
yeah,
little
if you're a
palettes.
brush maker, you can actually draw a brush,
very,
point it
very
at it,
cool.
and you can create a brush from Adobe Capture.
Wow,
Super cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Adobe Capture, download it
Do it.
today. I'm gonna download it. Looks awesome.
Yeah. And then we'll do one more. So this is Ed. He's running a little bit late, but here's his day one. All right. Oh, there we go. Fancy. That's a nice little header image.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Prompt and principle. Okay, so he's talking about
Cool. Yeah.
what the problem is, why he's doing this. Got some design system at the top, typography, color palette. There's those isometric shots.
Mm-hmm.
This one's not too bad.
Yeah.
Though. It's a little bit over there. I got to tilt my head, but it's not as crazy as some of the other ones that I've seen.
Yeah, and you're showing it in a device, so that makes sense,
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's a video.
It's a little GIF
inline.
going on.
What's a GIF, right? That's cool. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Very good presentation, case study presentation. It's
Yeah.
nice. Oh, and then you have multiple animations going on down there.
Okay. Oh, so he's showing
Cool.
some of the initial work. I like this.
Oh,
This is kind of where he started from. This
Yeah.
we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Show some of your early work, the stuff that did not work,
Mm-hmm.
and how you got to this one here that did work.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Very
And this
cool.
was just done probably in the last day or two.
Yeah.
So I would imagine as Ed continues to build this out, it'll get more and more complex, and
Mm-hmm.
the layout will get even better. Cool.
Nice work.
All right, so let's go ahead and hop back over to your screen. And you said you're going to take an older project.
Well, I do want to do that, but I like your idea of putting it on Behance right now. It's
All right,
my
go
first
for it.
project.
Yeah.
It's a live, real world, and I'm just going to be lazy afterwards and I want to do it, so might as well right now.
Yep.
And you can help me with exporting this in images in chunks. So if I want to break this down into multiple images, what is the best way to go about that?
I mean, separate artboards is probably the best way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But then how do you make them like perfectly match up with each other?
You'd have to line up every single
There's no
artboard.
image slice?
No.
What's this?
That's an artboard tool.
No, that's an artboard.
Yeah.
You can see I don't use the tools over here. I just
Right.
like draw stuff. Interesting.
Or
okay.
you can export the entire thing, bring it into Photoshop, and then do it that way.
You know what? I don't think I want to do that. I think I'm just going to export the whole thing as an image and then recommend that people don't do that. Is that okay?
A lot of people do that.
I know. Well, yeah, that's the thing is they certainly do.
Yeah.
Okay. I did have one little thing that I wasn't happy about, which the space between the wireframe header and that last image was a bit much. So tighten that up. Okay. I'm just gonna put this on Behance, and if you're watching this and you want to go to my portfolio and see it in real time get uploaded, not portfolio, but my Behance page, it'll be magical.
What is your Behance profile page?
It is, let's see. I don't know why there's these numbers. As they do that with everybody automatically?
Oh, I don't know.
Or did I just not bother changing mine?
Yeah, maybe if you edit your profile, you might be able to.
Okay, let me, I'll do that in just a moment. There was something I'd forgot to do though. Was it these, it was the borders on these guys. Turn these borders off. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna export this bad boy.
Oh, there you go. Val threw your link in the chat.
Thanks, Val. Okay, file, export, selected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna go to Adobe Live and I'll do create a new folder. Not all caps.
Screaming at it.
Yelling Behance. Behance profile. Berkson case study. It's exciting.
It's all happening so quickly.
Look, just doing these streams has got me followers, even
Hey,
though
there
I have
you
a
go.
completely empty profile. It's sad.
Imagine what you're going to get once you actually upload this thing.
I'll have
You'll be
dozens,
famous.
dozens of followers. Okay, so upload, file. Go to Adobe Live, Behance. There it is. It's only 6.9 megabytes. It's not really that bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not bad.
And I'm pretty sure as you upload it, it compresses a little bit.
Okay. All right. What is this gap on the top?
So if you go to Edit Styles and Layout on the left, right at the bottom.
That one.
Yep, and then you can just drop the spacing, just all the way.
Just to 0.
Yep. There you
Got
go.
it. Great.
Yeah, so if you really want to, if you're not doing an entire project full of images and you do want to organize and adjust the background color and all that stuff, in the Edit Styles and Layout section, that's where you can really go crazy with it.
Cool. Great. Oh, and then they let me choose. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let me choose the design here. What do you think? Should I show something from the middle or just the top of it?
Probably the top of it.
Just the top. Okay. Now that you see the top, you're changing your mind?
I know. Actually, you have an image of the car with the just the logo. That You
Yeah.
can probably upload separately.
Oh, just this?
Yeah. I would probably just do that.
Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the plus button at the bottom.
Plus. Okay, let me grab that. That was in graphics, I think. No. Where was it? Do you remember? Was it in mockups? Like you would remember where my stuff is stored.
It's probably in the logo concept somewhere.
Ah, God.
I think it might have been in the logo.
Mockups?
No, where you were.
It was here?
I think so. Logo
Logo
concept is
concept.
probably in there somewhere.
Be standalone. You're right. You know how I organize my files better
do.
than I do. Good job. That's embarrassing. There we go. And now I can zoom into that, right?
Yep. Bam.
Cool. Why can't I,
Oh, give it a title over to the right, the left, other right. Yeah.
This UI is not completely
Maybe you should redesign
guided,
it.
you know. Okay. Berkson, you just name like the name of the rebranding maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Michael Crabtree, I did finally get a laptop cover, but the problem is, you probably can't tell right now, but there's a
bad.
lot of green going on this laptop cover, and it's not liking our green screen behind us. So yeah, I didn't think that through. Anyway, so
Can I grab more than one of these? Or just
I think
one?
up to 3.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it says at the
Okay,
top up to
alright,
3. So
alright.
yeah, as you're going through this
UI,
process,
UX,
you can select
web
different
design.
fields.
Very cool. Up to 3. These are all my probably branding. There we go. Those 3. Oh, these are most popular. Got
Yeah.
it. So I'm learning to do this, and if you haven't uploaded one, now you're learning to do it too. That's why I waited to do this on the air. What tools did I use?
And I forget who it was that was asking earlier about how to get seen on Behance. All of this, very important. There are some people that just upload the images and publish, but all this stuff about what tools you used, what creative fields you're in, and all that stuff, super important to getting seen on Behance.
Yeah, okay, so I have display, discoverability. That's where you want to fill out, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will add a project description later. I won't add it right now. But keyword. So what would you recommend for keywords that you would
Things
put on
like branding, logo
Okay.
design, mock-ups, wireframes.
How many can you? Oh, up to 10. Okay.
Howard Pinsky.
Web design.
No, don't do that.
Pinsky.
No.
Boop.
That'll get you nowhere.
Case
study.
See.
That was a good one, Cheryl.
Case study. What else? Keep them coming, people. I did not use Illustrator for this. Someone just asked that. Okay, what does like generic things like just design? You probably want to kind of avoid. Yeah.
Probably, because there's probably so many people using the design keyword, it's probably just oversaturated.
Brand positioning.
But if you're struggling to find 10, you can always throw that in there.
Okay.
Maybe you can put UI design or
UI design.
or UX design or user experience, things like that.
Okay, I think that's good. Companies, brands, and schools. Who was the work done for? Do they have to be on?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll say Berkson
Oh, brand identity is a good one.
Development. Brand identity. Oh, they do have to be on here.
No.
Oh, no. Okay. Brand identity. Perfect. Teams, no teams. Publish?
Go for
Did I
it.
publish?
It's a big moment.
I'm nervous. Jeez.
And just like that.
Is it going to say your work will be ready in 24 hours or something?
No.
It'll do it instantly. And look, you can share it right there.
Bam.
Boom. Look at
There
that.
it is.
Lovely. That's so cool. My
Looks great.
first Behance case study.
So everyone go there, appreciate Josh's case study.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Follow me.
Maybe it'll get featured.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Has anyone appreciated it yet?
probably not. I will go appreciate it.
I'm gonna feel
Live
bad if
on
no
air.
one appreciates this right now.
I will do it. Where's that link from Val? I'm doing it.
Marily says we should stream together more. Thank you
Really?
for
Oh,
that.
great.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
We should.
Okay. I'm gonna go to my
Bam, I
project.
appreciated it.
Thank you.
You got 3 so far, look at you.
3 already?
Yeah.
Yes. This is really gonna make my career take off. That's what I'm thinking. Yes. Great. Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, we have, what do I have, 5 minutes?
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay.
So do a whole other project
I'm
in
gonna
5
see what I
minutes.
can do in 5 minutes. Okay. XD. Oh no.
Xy's like, we're done.
XD froze.
Did it?
It's not opening.
Oh no. What did you do?
Don't blame me. That's victim blaming. You know what victim blaming? No, we won't go into that. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to force quit XD. Weird. Okay, I will admit that I upgraded to the Mac OS beta version.
Oh, well, that you can't do that.
So it very well could be that.
It's very possible.
Let's blame Apple. And Apple doesn't get blamed enough, so let's do that. Okay. Now I'm gonna
Yeah, if anyone is on, it's Catalina, right? If anyone's on Catalina, I wouldn't recommend it just yet because Apple did introduce a few new security features that obviously we haven't supported yet. We will definitely support it before Catalina is available, but it's just not there yet.
All right, I'm going to use this case study real quick, few minutes,
Kate
just to
says
show
it's
you.
because you called it sketch. Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Sorry, XD.
Cheryl says the same thing.
I'm going to go to logos. So these were some of the logo concepts that I did. Let's open recent WD logo. There we go. Okay, I'm going to grab this logo. I'm going to replace Bergson's. And I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to make it centered.
Ooh, now you're getting fancy.
I'll center it. I'll center this. Turn that to centered.
Now it's completely different.
It's look at just with one little change, you've got a completely brand new case study template. And then I've got some goodies here to pull in. Let's see. Adobe Live, WDP, images, photos. I'll grab a photo. Let's see. What do I got here? Okay, I'll pull this one in. Why not?
I remember these.
Yeah. If you want to get nostalgic, go back and watch this.
Yep.
The first stream.
Yeah, Josh has been on 3 times now.
3 times, yeah. You said I'm one of the...
I think so.
Been
one
on
of the only
one
ones who
of
have been
the-
on 3
One
times.
of the few.
I don't know why.
Rude. You mean you don't know why I've only been on 3 times?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I can
That's what I
agree with
meant.
that. All right, so let me do this. Change this color. Change this color. We'll do our gradient fade trick again. And turn this down to 0. Pull this down. Pull that gradient down.
So Carrie cannot wait to check out the XD template once you share it. So yeah, if anyone's just joining, Josh will be sharing this. Iwata.io/resources.html.
Yep.
There is an HTML at the end, so I think that's important.
Oh yeah, I'm old school. I built that. I built my site. I coded it by hand.
Yeah,
in,
so he's going to
note-
finish this up
Notepad, so-
after the stream, and then probably at some point today or tomorrow it'll be up there.
Yeah. All right, so look, we've put in, this is the start of using that exact same template now, but for a new project. I didn't do brand positioning for this particular project, so I'm gonna remove that. Let's see, what's the best way to get rid of this? How am I doing on time? How many more minutes?
We have 1 minute.
One, really, that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna change this to branding. To number 101. Change these.
Oh no.
I'm gonna grab my repeat
What
grid.
did you do? You added a border instead of a fill.
Did I?
Yeah, that's okay.
I can't be bothered.
You're
with
under
that
pressure.
now. Yeah. I'm just gonna pull in. What did I do?
On the text,
Oh
you
my
added it.
God.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. Why did you want me to do this whole other project?
I don't know.
Okay.
Why not?
All right. So I'm gonna pull in some of these logo concepts.
I should, Cheryl. Cheryl's
What did
saying
she
I should
say?
change my laptop cover to solid green with a shiny metallic border.
just,
Paco, would you
just to
accept
piss
that?
Paco off.
I'll never be invited back to host again.
Yeah. So if you never want to be invited back to host again, that's a good plan.
Oh,
Then.
there you go.
So I'm going to show some of the branding there, and then I would start, I'm going to bring this up, actually. It doesn't. No, let's leave it down. Any rate, I know I'm running out of time.
Yeah, we are out of time.
We're out of time.
We are out
Okay.
of time.
But you can see there that we've started using that template again, and you too can use this template as long as you like my Behance project, and then I'll post that onto my website.
Yeah, so that will just about do it. Big thank you to everyone joining us live on Behance. Big thank you to Josh. This was super cool. If you do want to watch yesterday's stream, it is up somewhere on Behance or YouTube. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Thanks for having me back on.
Of course, and maybe there'll be a 4th time.
I'd like to go for the record.
Alrighty, we'll see you all later.
Thanks.
you.